And we are live. What's good, chat? Your man Dale Saint. Welcome. I really want to know podcast. How y'all feeling out there? What's good? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I hope all is well. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Yeah, we're just gonna do an open panel to guys. I've never done one before. I've never done just a straight show with just open panel. We're gonna talk about whatever people want to talk about. I'm gonna show some stuff because I kind of want to talk about idol worship and Hollywood and celebrity. And, one of the things I'm curious, like, how hard is it to become a celebrity today? What does it take? Is it hard work or is it just a network? And all the dark secrets wrapped around in that. That's what I want to talk about today. We're going to do an open session. Hopefully you guys are ready to cam up or whatever, jump up. You ain't got to cam up. You can just have a picture up, but I will check you in the back chat to make sure you're a real person. And let's do that. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Get some indeed, man. I hope you guys are good out there. I know I'm good over here. Brother Vikings in the building. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, definitely, got some eyes up on this one. Dusto's in the building. Scam Likely. What's happening, bro? What's up, bro? Yeah, man, you hit me up the other day, man. I think it was Sunday, man. I figured you probably hit me up to tell me about some Cinco de Mayo dance or whatever. It was popping off. It was stuff going on all over the place, man. That's what I assumed it was. But like I said, I was tired up, bro. Didn't have the time to get back at you, man. So, yeah, man, we're going to have a conversation. I'm going to drop the link here in a little bit. Just kind of, again, we can talk about whatever. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there that want to talk about, red pill stuff, want to talk about, fresh and fit, just the fresh thing, Daisy thing and all that. Probably want to talk about that. That's cool. Nothing's off limits, bro. We can talk about whatever. Brother Rook is in the building. What's good, Rook? In the building, what's good, man? Yeah, Rook. Look, I got here to start. Y'all don't know. Y'all go back and watch the episodes when Rook was on, bro. You want to talk about a Renaissance man, bro? Like that man right there is a professor, like doing this thing. Looks like Indiana Jones. Crazy, man. Like I said, crazy stories out there. Base Oracle in the building. What's good, fam? And like, do I know any karmas? No, bro. I always deal with the dealership. If I got issues with the vehicle, I take it straight to the dealer. Especially, I always encourage people to get those aftermarket warranties and service agreements. Basically, you pay a copay kind of thing, like you pay $200 or whatever, and the insurance will fix whatever's wrong, man. It's so many aftermarket companies out there to handle that. You can always find, like, just go to the top 5, top 10, pick the one that you like. Normally when you buy it, like when you buy the service, it's normally like 30 or 60 days before you actually get to use it. So you got to sit, you can't have nothing. It won't pay for nothing over the, like the first 2 months, but then after that you in. So yeah, bro, I don't know any. Base Oracle's already chomping at the bit, man. We probably won't even get into what I wanted to get into. Let me, let me drop the link. Let me drop the link. Brother Base was busy over the weekend, probably out doing, cool kid stuff, probably in New York, running through them 304s up there. I'm sorry, those nice young women up there. So there is the link, guys. If you guys want to come up, come through, bro. If you guys want to come up, it's all gravy. Like I said, if I don't know you, I'm going to ask you to, if I don't know you, I'm going to ask you to, like, show your picture, whatever. Just make sure you're a real person. Make sure you ain't on some stupid person stuff. And then we'll bring you up. It is what it is. But for those I do know, bring you right on up. But yeah, man, I want to talk about a lot of stuff, man. I got some stuff loaded up in the background. I was going to talk about comedy. I was talking about, because everything is tied to success. And it's, because people ask me about comedy all the time. And it's like, bro, they'll start naming comics. They're like, oh, these people are successful and they're funny. I'm like, simply because they're successful doesn't mean they're funny. One doesn't equal the other. You can just be good at working the system and getting on stage and getting your name out there and building a brand doesn't mean you're funny. Hannah Gatsby is a perfect example of that. Hannah Gatsby, bro, I'll try to get through her specials. Like, Jesus, this woman really is not funny, but extremely successful. Extremely successful. And I don't know if it's because of her writing talent. I don't know if it's that or it's because she's part of the LGBTQ community and they're just going to push that out there. You know, you go to one of her events, people laugh. She was doing a show where she highlighted some comics in that community. And I was still trying to get through that show. It's like, bro, it's just, they're not funny. It's just, hey, we are part of this community. Laugh at us because of that. Celebrate us because of that. And my thing is, funny is funny. I mean, there's plenty of people in who are gay and lesbian and whatnot, trans and all that kind of stuff that are funny. Ty Rivera is one of those guys. Ty's funny. You know what I mean? He's not one of those, I wouldn't put Ty on anybody's top 10 list, but Ty's a good comic. He's a YouTuber out there, but he's been out there doing comedy long before YouTube. There are guys out there who are funny. So like to me, it's just like, what does it take? And then you have folks who this idol thing, idol worship or like the star stuff, bro. Like you see people out there and they'll see their favorite star and they go crazy. That kind of thing. It's like, I've never understood that. I've never understood it. I've been places where I will bump into A-listers, B-listers, whatever, and just kick it, have a good night, just chill. Everybody's everybody. You know what I mean? Like you're just a real person. You're just a normal human being like everyone else. But I think it was Templar. Templar was here talking about Fresh and Fit and talking about how they should be held to a different standard because people put them on a pedestal. And then I responded to that with, it's not the individual's fault that others put them on a pedestal. Like you don't get to climb on a pedestal. You just can't climb on the pedestal and say, look at me, I'm the greatest. You have to be placed on that pedestal. And my thing is, don't place anyone on the pedestal, man. Don't place anyone higher than you. We're all equal. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Base Urkel in the building. What's good, fam? How you doing?
What up, man?
Chilling, man. How you feeling, man? How was your weekend?
Good. So I just caught the tail end of what you were saying, right? As far as they didn't ask, right? They didn't necessarily ask to be leading anyone, right? Like their audience, they're not, right? I mean, is that kind of the general gist?
In general, people like look at like one of my favorite actors in the business, right? And I got a bunch of them, but one of the ones that I respect a lot, George Clooney. George Clooney didn't ask to be placed on the pedestal. He worked hard within a genre that's one of the outcomes. But like, did he ask to be like, so George Clooney is our leader? And some people look at him like, more than a person. Just to take the shine off of, Myron and Fresh, but who you name the person, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like you have to be placed on a pedestal.
Fresh didn't ask, right? He didn't ask for the Asian hooker to get pregnant, right? According to him, they had an agreement that she would not. But my point is, whether or not you ask for something directly doesn't mean you're not responsible for it afterwards. So with great power comes great responsibility. And that's the whole eating your cake and having it too. The idea of, well, we ask for all these people to follow us through hit the follow, hit the subscribe, the like, send us super chats, etc., etc. But then meanwhile, it's like, oh yeah, but we're not responsible for what these people get from us, right? Because we didn't really ask to be the leaders, but you fucking did. That's the thing. It's playing a word game at that point.
It's playing a word game. So Harvey Weinstein, right, was put on that pedestal, looked up to. He was the king of Hollywood for a minute. Put a lot of people on, right? I never would consider someone like a Harvey Weinstein a leader, but that's just me.
Well, he was though. He was leading actors, actresses, producers, to whatever degree extent. Whether or not he asked for it, he ended up in that position of power. And I would say man's duty, good man's duty, aspiring good man duty, to do the right thing, regardless of what you asked for. You're in this position now, you have the responsibility. Otherwise, you could step down, right? Fresh and Fit could walk away. Harvey Weinstein could have not done that anymore, right? Got out of the business. But they decide to stay in and then say, well, oh, it's not our fault if anyone follows us.
Now, the huge distinction between a Harvey Weinstein and anyone else is, Harvey Weinstein was convicted. He was accused of and then later convicted of crimes. So that's definitely a huge distinction. You look at what's going on with Sean Combs right now. No indictments, no arrests, but accused of doing the same stuff within a world of leaders, right? So many people look to Hollywood, and maybe this is why I have this, this take on it. Having been to Hollywood and seen what it really is. So when I look at someone like a Myron the Fresh or Alvin Preach, or if I look at whoever out there is a big YouTuber like Joe Rogan, I know what's part of that. So I'm just kind of like, but
you've seen some,
but you're right though.
Tate. You've seen some Tate, right, over the years.
Yeah.
So one of the things he talked about is a lot of the content he made when he was a small content creator was said different ways, right? He used certain verbiage, language, communication. And
taken out of context was like the over thing. Yeah.
Right. As he grew, he had a responsibility, or he felt inclined, due to so many more eyes on him listening to his voice, to change the delivery of his message. Now, whether or not that's exactly true, the point is it certainly points out the idea of man taking responsibility for his power, his actions, etc. Right? The idea is he didn't necessarily ask to be a big whatever social media mogul, even though we could argue he did, through Hustlers University and getting people to promote his hashtags, cut up his videos, etc. But he could argue,
it's the same as Fresh and Fit. It's the same argument. It's like, well, because you're in there working hard in that genre, you are in fact asking for
exactly
reap the rewards of said genre.
Right. So really, my point just that, he acknowledged, whether or not he's actually doing that is a different thing, but he acknowledged the responsibility to curate his message to a larger audience and not use some of the terms or phraseology, whatever, that he was referring to from earlier when he didn't have that level of responsibility because he didn't have that voice, that outreach.
So you're saying, irregardless of someone placing you on the pedestal or you are clawing to get on top, which is the pedestal, either way, once you get there, you're saying it does not matter. You're there now because X amount of people are watching. So is there a number attached to that? Or no, I guess it's not, because you can be the coach of
relative, right? Yeah. I mean, it's all relative. So relative to
your
whether
reach.
They got 10 times bigger, 20 times bigger, whether they're hitting 1 million fans, 5 million. The point is, with that larger voice comes a larger responsibility. Now, we see most people don't give a fuck about that. But the point is, aspiring good men would give a fuck about that. They would see a duty to report, what they talk about wanting to report, all of them, the truth.
The truth.
Well, I'm saying this is a common phrase, right? The truth. I'm here to promote the truth. It's about the truth. Yet so many times we see the big creators, right? All different forms. It doesn't have to be within the manosphere or whatever, but all sorts of creators talking about, I'm here for the truth, and doing little but lying between their teeth.
Yeah, so you look at someone like the Liver King, and you can get this big by just eating livers of whatever. And it's like, nah, bro, you juicing.
It's the truth. No, he said it was the truth, right? I'm not juicing. This is all from eating raw liver, right? I need to get this message out, spread it to help the young men and the old men or whatever men.
Now, that's an easy one. That's an easy one, right? We could say, well, bro, all you had to do was say you're using steroids and eating liver and you'd have got off, but you lied and whatever. So that's the easy one. So, but when we get into the more difficult, folks out there, like some of these, the Meet Kevin guy, supposed to be like this big financial guru, and it's like he's just an alcohol, he's just a dude who likes to drink, likes to party, and he's just kind of cutting and pasting other people. He's not like a real finance person, but he has that huge platform. So what do we do about the Meek Kevins of the world?
Well, when you say we, I don't know if you mean the general
the
population.
World. Yeah, I'm not talking about me and you. I'm not talking about me and
world,
you.
Right? Yeah. The world would be seeking truth, right? Which the problem is the cognitive dissonance of reality not aligning with what these creators are calling reality or the truth. And part of what I do, I don't know about you, I haven't seen much of your stuff, but part of what I do is break down to get to the truth, because it's not about a one-liner. Everyone who has said one-liners that are true, right? There's lots, for instance, Tate has said that's true, and lots of, comedy, right? He's funny, this type of thing.
Yeah, it's entertainment for real.
That doesn't mean that the snake oil is not baked in, and we don't need to open up that Pandora's box at the moment. But the point is doing breakdowns, analysis, not just being sheep, not just wanting to follow the herd of, well, he has 1 million subscribers, so he must be onto something, because that seems to be how most people operate to a degree.
I think so. So wouldn't the responsibility then fall on the consumer? Shouldn't you be able to see through the bullshit?
Right. So when we say shouldn't it, well, I think that it partly falls on each, right? There's part responsibility on the creator, part on the consumer. Now, what are the exact percentages? I don't know, but let's call it 50-50, right? Now, we've talked about, I think you and I have talked about, people are pretty drugged up in general, right? There's this,
yes,
whatever colored glasses you want to say that they're wearing, where it makes it difficult for them to see the truth. And that's where I think the next responsibility is for people who are able to convey, to break down some of this snake oil bullshit, right? To provide an easier access to truth to people who are, kind of fence sitting, not sure.
Could we argue and real quick, Brother Viking Paradigms in the building, bro. Fresh and Fit fam up in this. Brother Viking, this is Base Oracle, Brother Viking.
Nice to meet you, sir.
What's up?
And we see Brother Tez in the chat, man. I see you, Tez. What's good, fam? What's good, fam? Just showing everybody their love. So I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let Brother Viking jump in and cook for a little bit. So a lot of this has to do with, I believe, and we've talked about this. Brother Base and I have talked about this, and I think we agree on this. There's a lack of leadership in the home, and a lot of that we can, and here in America, a lot of that we could put on our legal system or whatever. They would argue that men have been removed from the home either by plan or not. You know what I mean? Whatever, but when it comes to young dudes, young men and women, without that male influence, are they easily susceptible to the snake oil? And then there's. Oh, go ahead.
I wouldn't agree with what you just said, though. It's not that there's a lack of leadership in the home. There's the same leadership there's always been. The difference is the quality of leadership and looking at good or bad, right? So young men, to your point, that don't have a strong male influence in their lives are turning to the leadership. It's being replaced by social media, the mom, right? All sorts of things that we could look at. But I wouldn't say there's a lack of leadership. There's always going to be leadership. It's just about what is the quality of it? What is the morality of it?
All right. Marines ain't supposed to be this smart, Base. Goddamn, bro. How did you slip through the cracks, man?
Yeah, I don't know.
Brother Viking, man, what say you?
Well, this kind of goes back to an argument that's tale as old as time about, like who's responsible. Like if you got people that are listening to you, like you have a responsibility of what you say, which is true to some extent. But that's the thing is, I would say, is it's a two-way street, right? Because the far right, the Christians and shit like that were arguing back in the 90s, during the Satanic Panic and the Stranger Danger. They're saying that you need to do this, that, and the other thing, right? And we just see the left doing the same stuff now, more or less, right? Kind of dumbing it down a bit just for sake of time, but it's the same argument. Like, we got to ban the pornography so that way people aren't going to jerk off to porn. Right. But all it does is make an illegal market for it. It's the same thing. We need to ban alcohol. Right. And that was feminists that pushed for that. They wanted an alcohol prohibition because they didn't want their husbands going off to the bar, more or less. Right. because they were shrews and they didn't want to, deal with them, right? And that goes back to that lack of quality leadership. You are correct, right? And that's where the lack of leadership comes in, is the lacking in quality. So we're kind of splitting hairs there, but that's what it comes down to. The fathers have been removed from a lot of homes, and the power of the fathers has been taken away and gaslit everybody into thinking, oh, well, these guys are incompetent. They're all Homer Simpson and Peter Griffin, right? The Al Bundys, right? That's what men are, right? We're nothing more than that. Never mind the good dads actually busting their butt and just want to come home to eat and then go to sleep and then do the same shit the next day. And they just want their family to appreciate them for it. Right. But they're not. They're actually ridiculed for not doing more. So I say that street goes both ways. But I also do agree with you, Based Oracle, is that, we don't, leaders are chosen by the people watching them. Right, that are people that are following the people that are trying to use them as an example of something that they could do. Like, oh, hey, shit, that guy's doing that over there. Like, I kind of want to do that. How would I do that? Right. That's the right question for guys to be asking. But a lot of times, guys are like TLDR, copy and paste. And they're just like, oh, well, Andrew Tate did this. Andrew Tate smoked cigars, so I'm going to start smoking cigars, even though it's not a good, healthy habit.
And well, that's another point there with that. And then we'll let Brother Bass jump in is, people there are guys out there who are so invisible, and we can stay on the Andrew Tate example, that they'll join the war room and they'll shave their head and they'll buy a suit or whatever, and they'll smoke the same cigar that Tate smokes, and they'll drink the same drink that Tate drinks. I can't blame Tate for that. I blame those dudes. I blame the sheeple. And what's your take on that, Brother Bass?
Well, I'd go back to 50-50, but I want to make clear there's not this binary of there's leaders and followers. Everyone is a leader and follower to some degree, right? The people that we're referring to as leaders, they're also following something or someone. And even the people at the very bottom, what we would call the followers, they're still leading, whether it's an older brother leading a younger brother or, right, young father to son, whatever the case, right? So my point is that by going after the truth and trying to spread the truth to the best of your ability, that you are doing your part. You're using your power, whatever it is, however little it is, to impart and instill those good values that you're trying to convey. And I don't think that gets enough credit. There's too much of, well, what's the magic pill for this? How do we fix this? What's the answer? What laws do we need to change? And to Viking's point about the laws, I totally agree. In terms of, well, he didn't say this, but I'll go further with laws can make an impact on individuals, no doubt, right? They put up a potential consequence, right? Could be jail time or whatever the case, even a fine. And meanwhile, they do nothing to go after the genuine desire of somebody doing the crime in the first place. And again, I think that's a big fail, whether it's alcohol prohibition or weed or whatever the case.
Okay. So, all right, that's cool. I like the way this is starting, and I'm glad Brother Viking is here, because Based Oracle, you're gonna want to have your conversation about Fresher Fit, and I'm gonna let you have it because I'm always on your side of the world. Now you're on our side of the world, and we got Brother Viking here, so you guys could go back and forth. I'm gonna take a back seat and allow you guys to go ahead and go back and forth. And Brother Viking, just so you know, Based Oracle, I met him through Raging Tomato. And I had on a Fresh and Fit t-shirt. And Brother Bass, how did that go for me with my Fresh and Fit t-shirt on?
It went good. It went very good.
Man, they came after Uncle Saint, bro. I mean, you talk about walking into I walked right into an ambush. But you know what? We were able to, like men, have our discussions, say what we had to say, and Bass earned my respect. I dare say I earned his respect, and we were able to continue these conversations. And I'm so glad he's here, because Viking is a hardcore Fresh and Fit fam. You know what I mean? Like we met through the platform. We continue to grow, and we network within the platform.
I knew Myron before Myron knew Walter, so
man, he goes even back. So he predates it. So I want, like you and Bass, I like Brother Bass and Brother Viking to go ahead and have that conversation, because Brother Bass Oracle makes some really good arguments as to the power of their platform, and I'll let him take it from here.
Real quick, if you don't mind, because he said something really good before, and we think we're more or less agreeing on a lot of this, right? The difference between follow and leader, right? You're right. Yeah, we're both leaders and followers, right? You know, most competent men are going to divert defer to competence hierarchies, right? Like if it comes down to like, you know, say a skill like understanding like guns and stuff like that, I'm going to defer to DL Saint, right? Like if I had to learn about, you know, like firearms or something like that, I'm going to ask that man, right? When it comes to stuff, you know, in the, you know, military and stuff like that, I'm going to ask him. I'm going to defer to him. I'm not going to assume that I know, right? The issue in terms of like what you said, the quality of leadership that I've seen is basically something that I myself did. I believed a lot of the bullshit that's out there and tried to do the 50-50 thing in the relationship and believed all the, what we call in the red pill space, the blue pill lies, and tried to do the right thing. Well, those things made my woman miserable, made her sabotage me and not respect me because I was sabotaging myself. So the thing that's lacking, I think, from a lot of these younger guys, like you're talking about, yeah, they're both leaders and followers, is that people are not leading themselves. They're not taking accountability for their own actions. They're not actually turning the lens inward, right? There's a saying in Christianity, you know, when you point the finger, beware of the three pointing back at you, right? And a lot of people forget that, you know, that's what happens. That's how people become hypocrites, is they point the finger, you know, what are they? They're pointing the fingers in every direction, but they don't realize that they themselves are contributing to the problem by not addressing that leadership in themselves. Like, what are my morals? What are my standards? You know, for me, I try to benefit myself first, but I don't step on others while doing it. I try to make sure that what I'm doing is benefiting me and others, and therefore nobody's going to want to stop me because they're benefiting from my actions, right? And that's like a, you know, quid pro quo, I guess you could say. But for me, that's like the essence of morality and humanity, is like we are better together than we are apart. Same thing that Rollo says about men and women. So hope that makes sense.
I want to give Brother Base 2 minutes to acknowledge that, and then let's, you know, kind of get into whatever you want to get into, brother. And real quick though, about the military part, if you want to learn how to sensibly go into combat, talk to Uncle Saint. If you want to just go out there like a fucking savage, talk to Base Oracle, because he's a Marine and I'm a paratrooper. There are two different ways of doing it. I just want to get that little dig in there, bro. And shout out to you.
Cool. Yeah, on that, I don't even think I need 2 minutes. I didn't hear
well,
anything.
I want to give you time. I want to give you time to take it wherever you want to take it. You know, I want to give you guys equal time.
Oh, this conversation, like with Fresh and Fit. Okay.
Wherever you want to take it, Fresh and Fit, wherever.
The first place that I would take it is actually a question, and maybe it's to both of you or maybe just to Viking, just to make sure we're on the same page as to what the argument's even going to be. So as far as what do you think Fresh and Fit's mission statement is? What do you think it is that they are purporting to promote, right? To make men better, to make people better, like that sort of thing.
Well, the idea is that they had to learn the hard way. They had to lead by example. And Myron just decided, you know, see, Myron was doing more or less of some of the similar things that I'm doing, getting on panels like this, talking to people. He was doing his fitness thing. He was promoting his business and whatnot. But when he got into MLD's mastermind, he like ended up evolving past the fitness coaching, because people were asking about cold approach and stuff like that. You know, he'd be doing a webinar about fitness, and then at the end, dudes are like asking, you know, there'd be like 6 questions about fitness, and then dudes are like, well, how do I cold approach in a club? How do I do bottle game and stuff like that, right? So it kind of evolved out of more or less a demand, because people were asking him questions like, how did you learn to do this stuff? How did you actually figure it out and make this stuff work for you? And all he was doing was answering questions. And it came down to, oh, well, MLD was like, yo, Myron, what are you doing with your YouTube channel? And he was still with the government and all that. And he was at that crossroads. And I remember the night where MLD like almost dressed him down, Myron down, like, yo, he was spent like, you know, we had done a 9-hour like webinar where most of the time was supposed to be fitness, but it ended up being just helping guys learn how to cold approach. And, you know, finally, MLD just stopped the webinar, was like, yo, Myron, what are you doing with your YouTube? You've got the charisma. You clearly give a shit, and you clearly know what you're talking about. Why aren't you helping more people? Do you have any idea how much your platform could be helping other people? Okay. And Myron's was like, I never really, you know, I'm not really doing anything with it. I didn't think about it that way. And he recalibrated, ended up contacting Fresh, you know, getting through Solo TV84. And as I say, the rest is history. They just started doing podcasts, talking like literally what we're doing right now. Just, you know, guys with similar mindsets. You know, we don't agree on everything, but just linking up and having a conversation online for other people to, you know, watch. And then one night, real quick, I'll wrap it up here because you're asking. I'm trying to answer your question. I had to say a lot to get there, right? What they stand for. So because I've seen it from the start, I can say, like, regardless of what the perception is now, the premise has always been to basically do a show talking about not the should, would, could, but the what is. And what is basically what we're looking at now. Intersexual dynamics being a shit show due to like misandry from feminists and shit like that. And a lot of people not leading themselves and constantly deferring to other people that are deferring to other people. So you got the blind leading the blind. So Myron's just like, okay, well, we can't necessarily, like Rollo says, we don't give prescriptions, we give descriptions. He's basically taking Rollo's observations, going like, well, these are the observations I made, and this worked for me, this worked for Fresh, this works for our guests that come on. So you take that with a grain of salt and apply it to yourself. You need to adapt it to yourself. But like I said, a lot of guys want to take the shortcut of copy and paste. So the intent has always been be the example. Right? That's literally Fresh's one of his merch shirts is be the example. And that's what Myron embodies. And that's why so many people respect him. And that is the intent of the podcast. We're not going to say that our way is the only way. What we're going to say is that this is a way. And these are the factors that are going to influence whether or not a woman is going to be loyal to you, especially long term. And we're just going to put it on display.
Yeah, now we got to lay base cook because I saw you stumbled on it. You stumbled on it. He's about to let this Claymore go. You know what I mean? Click. Here it comes.
Maybe. So the idea to me of Fresh, for instance, as the example, he is an example. When I look at his words, his actions, what he's shown of his ass, I would put it as very, very poor example for an aspiring good man. In terms of, for instance, if I was following his example, right, I would have stuck my dick in over 1,200 women, according to him. And if I was to follow his example, the last apparently 5 would be unprotected, all happening at once, and all potentially getting pregnant. Women who he apparently, based on his example that he's leading for, has no intention of raising kids with, and then would ask the mothers, including this one that just made headlines, Daisy, to, flush that baby down the toilet because we agreed not to have a baby, even though we did the things that it takes to have a baby. So when I look at some of that as leading by example, and then you mix in, well, you got to have a Lambo and a Ferrari or whatever the case, right? Because this is what's actually important in this world. And look, I like cars, right? I've had some cool cars, not Lambos, but nonetheless, what kind of example is he exactly other than CEO? He's the CEO. Irresponsibility, like that type of CEO, right? Telling other men, oh, this is how you get with women, this is how you deal with women, and doing a terrible job, all that I've seen. And I don't, I'm not following him around. I don't know all what he does, but all this comes back to Fresh and Fit. Whether it was the whole Miranda debacle, which I would view it as he showed his fucking ass. And then once again with Daisy, to the extent of, we got to kill that living thing inside you, whether or not it's real, but that was nonetheless his leading, his instruction for his irresponsibility. And I'm not saying I've never done this, but I will tell you this, I've never done this and broadcast it to millions of people that I'm supposedly leading.
And Brother Viking, stand by. I just want to say this real quick, and I'm gonna turn it over to Brother Viking, because I think he's gonna really get into the details. But one thing I would say is most guys don't know their own mission. And okay, let's, like you're looking at Fresh. If we're just gonna look at what he does, we're not gonna look at anything else, just looking at what he does. Like you said, you like nice cars, I like nice cars too. But I'm not a Lambo guy. You know what I mean? All things being equal, like, oh yeah, maybe I'll get an Aston Martin. You know what I mean? Maybe I do the James Bond thing because that's what I want to do. But when I look at it, I take the good, leave the bad. 100%. If your mission is to go out here and just slay these girls in today's sexual marketplace, that is certainly one way you can do it. You're just using the bells and whistles and sell the dream or whatever, just to get some girl, to choose you, to bring you home and to let you smash. But I want Brother Viking to go ahead and then really dig down.
Yeah, so when it comes to the Daisy situation, we'll touch on that. We'll go back in time a little bit to the Miranda situation. The Miranda situation was completely blown out of proportion by Reddit and academics. Fresh has said this from the beginning. All the girls that he shows on camera, he's not taken seriously. Like, he dates multiple girls, and I know this for a fact. I've seen the girls that he takes kind of seriously on the side, right? I've spent time with the man in Miami and got laid because I'm at the club and shit like that. So just, showing my bias, like, I know the man, I've hung out with him. Not extensively. I'm not going to say we're best friends like Myron and Fresh are type shit. And even they don't always hang out, right? They're just working. The thing about, like, for example, the Miranda situation, she was just dog sitting for him. Like, that's the thing. And ACT was trying to say that, like, no, they were smashing. Don't get it twisted. See, I know things that nobody knows and I can't talk about. Do you understand? Because I've got integrity, and I said I wouldn't
use them then. Yeah, I hear you.
But I'm saying that I'm going off of what's been said in the open. But the thing is that people, like yourself, shake your head.
She's different.
She's well, hold on. I wouldn't say she's different. But I wouldn't say she's different. But here's the thing. I wouldn't say she's different. I spoke on this. It's the situation is a little different, like I said, and I've said what I've said because everything out there, I was like, and again, I know more about this Miranda thing than most, just being right there in the trenches. But even with the Miranda thing or this Daisy thing, like the point is, if you're looking at it, it looks like a train wreck. And I can't, and Brother Viking and I can't speak for Brother Viking, but when you bring this up, base, I'm like, you're right. It looks horrible, but there's still lessons to be learned. I'm not a fanboy.
Agreed.
I'm not a dude out there who's just like, oh, he's my hero. I know these men personally. So I'm just looking at it like I would look at any of my other dudes that get caught up, like, bro, you got caught up. You know what I mean? But I'll let Brother Viking continue because I know he has some more points to make.
Yeah. So the reason why, because you brought up the Miranda situation, like I said, the question that I'm asking more or less by bringing these things up and pushing back the way that I am is, why does it look like a shit show? Right? Because that's the thing that people don't seem to be asking. Like I said, when in terms of like people trying to act like Fresh is somehow doing a bait and switch, like Myron has roasted Fresh relentlessly about not wrapping it up. Do you understand? To the point where Raw Dog Fresh, somebody literally made an account called Raw Dog Fresh, make a joke, same way that Fresh BBC gang and stuff like that, Fresh is BBC, right? People made accounts because Myron has openly like roasted him, saying, yo, wrap it up. And Myron says openly, yo, my girl packs my condoms for me for exactly this reason. So that is the mistake that Fresh made. Yeah, he raw dogs chicks. And he said multiple times on the show when it talked about that, yeah, don't do what I do, guys. I'm being a hypocrite here. I wouldn't recommend it. And the other thing is that the accusation that, well, if you're going to do this, like, you can't be surprised. It's like, yeah, he knows. But like you said, over 1,200 bodies. And this is the first ill intent girl that's really kind of come for him. Myron had a girl coming for him on a false pregnancy allegation. And the thing is, even if he wrapped it up, and this is where I'm going to get into the real meat and potatoes of the Daisy situation and how everybody's trying to weaponize it, and it's a nothing burger. So the thing is that the reason why Fresh responded the way that he did is because, remember, he took this chick to Barbados with him to meet his family. She pulled a pregnancy test on him.
A hooker. He said she's a hooker. Why would you ever bring a hooker to meet your mom? That is the dumbest shit.
Don't interrupt. No. I got to call you out. Don't interrupt me on that because you're immediately jumping for the bait. Don't take the bait. That's bait.
Where did I lie?
You understand? This is one of many girls that some of these girls are working girls in Miami. But the thing is once again, the accusation is, oh, he pays. He doesn't need to pay. These girls think if they cuddle up to him enough that eventually they might get paid, and they're trying to play the long game with him. Right? And because he plays the lover boy game, he sells a dream. This is where most of the girls are cool with it. They want to keep that good connection. They end peaceably. Like I said, you can believe me if you want. I don't care. The bottom line is I'm just stating stuff that's on the air. Yeah, you might not agree with him taking random girls that he fucks with for experiences and having fun to meet his mom.
He said she's a hooker. He said that. I didn't say that shit. I don't know her.
Time.
He said she's a prostitute.
Yeah, we found that out after the fact. And you're interrupting me again.
Oh, what kind of discretion is that? What kind of leadership is that?
I can't.
Bro, you monologue for like 5 minutes.
Because the information,
we're gonna let Viking cook for a little bit. I mean, we're gonna let Base. No. We're gonna let Base go, and then we're gonna bring you back, Viking. Because here's the thing, I've made these points already. It's not like Base hasn't heard these exact these points. That's what we're gonna let him. Because I made these points on their side of YouTube, and I'll be over there probably tonight.
That's the thing.
We are. We're on the same page.
I was getting somewhere. I was just about there.
All right, let him go.
All right, Base, we're gonna let him get there. We're gonna let him get there, and then we're gonna, because I want Base to get equal time as well. I want to make sure that we get everyone equal time, because these are the conversations that I'm not seeing in YouTube, and it's pissing me off, because it's an opportunity for men to learn on both sides of this thing. It's opportunities for men to learn. So go ahead, Viking.
Okay, so I'm specifically going to address the criticism about Fresh not wanting the baby, and that's what I was trying to get to with the Barbados thing. The thing is, Fresh does this with girls. If you look at his vlog history, he takes girls to meet his family because he travels back home and he takes them with him. His family knows about this shit. The last girl before that, I think he did some sort of prank or whatever, where he's like behind the fence or something like that and trying to do a pregnancy scare with the girl. Do you understand? Like, they played a prank on his mom together. He put this girl up to it. Remember, he used to be a prank channel. Okay. And it was the same thing with Miranda. Oh, she likes me for me. That was a prank channel thing. Right? He was fucking with people because people have been trying to expose him for paying for box. He doesn't pay for box. He gets box given to him for free by girls trying to finesse him. He knows the game. The same way that the stripper in the strip club tried to finesse me for money, and all I paid for was a VIP room to have alone time with her. Right? Being fully transparent myself. And I got laid. But the point is, what happened there was that she tried to pull a pregnancy test and it came back negative. Fresh knew that shit was up because the Reddit guys had already outed the fact that somebody made a fake account in China that's like one of those back page places of her selling box. Now, she was able to get out of that by saying, oh, somebody made a fake account, just use my pictures. But the red flags were up. Remind you, this whole relationship was only like 29 days total. So at that point, Fresh saw, oh shit, this bitch is pulling some shady shit. She's trying to get me in a pregnancy thing, even though we had this prior agreement. The pregnancy test came back negative. He ended up cutting her off. Then she comes back with the baby thing, trying to put him on the spot. But here's the information that came out recently. If you actually watched the show where Myron talked about this, that the evidence at hand shows that 2 weeks prior to her even contacting or attempting to contact Fresh, she'd already got the abortion. So what this woman was actually doing, based on the actual evidence that's exposed now, is that she had an agreement with Fresh not to have a baby. She said on another podcast that she was deliberately taking fertility medicine in order to make herself more fertile to get a baby, because she knew obviously Fresh is raw dogging. So then when she wanted, after he broke it off, she still wanted a place. They talked about him helping her get a place in Miami because she's from out of the country. And here's the thing. She still wanted that place. And she still wanted money from him, right? Because she spent half the money on that piece of jewelry or whatever. So she wanted to try to get some of her money back. So what'd she do? She tried to hold the legal system over him, tried to scare him. But because Fresh knows the game, he was responding very skeptically, and he was honest and doubling down on what he said he wanted from the beginning. And yes, you can say he's hypocritical about it because he said he didn't want the baby, but he's doing all the things that can risk having a baby, right?
Yeah. And
like I said, that is the key mistake. I'm not going to try to excuse that, and nor has Fresh. But the thing is that what you have to look at is that everybody's trying to shame Fresh for not wanting the baby. But what about this Daisy chick killing that child and then coming back to Fresh and trying to hold his dead child over his head to get a place and child support in Miami? And then when he didn't do any of this publicly, and I'm landing the plane after this, when that didn't work out for her, that move didn't work, then it all became public. Then she started going on this media tour and dragging him through the mud because she didn't get the place in Miami that she wanted.
I want to say this. I want to give it to Base. And Base, you get as much time as you want because we were flying. I had to give up my time and Vikings time would combine. So I want to make sure you get plenty of your time to say what you have to say. But I want to say this real quick. I would never run that game. And that's not a hit on Fresh or whatever. I mean, to each man, run your own game. You do what you do. I would never run that game. And a lot of people have problems with, well, you brought this 304 to meet your mom. You did this, you did that. If you're not going to do that, that's your business. If I'm going to do it, that's my business. I would never run that game. But, I think Fresh knows now. Maybe he was a little skeptical at first, but now he sees how cold these streets are. And she was working her hand. And to this day, I'm not even sure if she really was with child and actually had the procedure. And if she was, whose father was it? She was out there like that. But I want to give it to Brother Base.
Yeah.
Uninterrupted. We ain't gonna cut you off either. You go.
Yeah, no, I got you. So look, I'd like to have a debate about this, right? In theory, we're doing that now. The problem is, and I mean no offense to you by this, Viking, but you're presupposing many things within this narrative that you're creating. I mean, the number of non sequiturs and red herrings are just insurmountable for me to answer all of them rapid fire back to you. But going back to the simplicity, are these good men to follow? Are they doing more harm or more good? And meanwhile, if I'm to go along with what you said and what Fresh has said, if I'm to take it as truth, which, by the way, for at least 95% of that, I don't give a shit if it's true. I don't give a fuck if he was paying them to pop the pussy or not. It's absolutely irrelevant to where I'm coming from. The idea that an aspiring good man would bring what he refers to as hookers back to meet his mother. What does that say about his relationship with his mother? Oh, mommy, here's the new hooker this week. Yeah, I just needed her to come with me, right? I don't have any friends, or I couldn't have came alone, so I brought you a hooker. But good news, the hooker brought you some fucking sandals or some shit. It's actually mind-blowing. Now, the idea that, again, going along with your story is true, and trying to follow it, went kind of all over the place here, but the idea that he didn't find out that she was a hooker till after he was raw-dogging her, once again shows very poor discretion, discernment in a man who is supposedly leading the women around him, not even the audience. We're not even talking about the audience right now, but just the women around him, right? Because as you said, they're trying to play a game, so he's playing a game. Once again, to my point, poor leadership. Good leader doesn't need to play a game. He doesn't need game. Oh, they like my game, bro. So they like the, the fakeness of you, right? They look at the game that you're promoting, purporting. Oh, yeah, they like that. So they don't actually like you. They don't care about you. And you're inviting STDs. You're inviting, unalive babies, which apparently that happened. And honestly, I'm not really concerned if it did or didn't. Did you happen to see their little balloon popping party? Those are some men where in my society, they will all be executed after a devil ritual like that. So good men for our society to follow? I'd say quite the opposite.
Let me give a shout out to everybody who done joined the chat, man. Hey, this is good. Hey, Viking. Based Oracle keeps me on my fucking toes, bro. And like I said, this is why I'm so happy to have the brother over here. I'm gonna start at the bottom with the people who joined the chat. We got Miss Globe, you're on the building with good things to say about brother Based Articles. Like Based Article, you clearly are an intellectual. You are investing your time in an unproductive endeavor to teach how to be a gentleman of integrity. That's just Navy supporting the damn Marine Corps. That's all that is, because that's my favorite Marine. That's my favorite sailor right there. Brother Nick is in the building. What's good, brother Nick? How you feeling, bro? Shout out to you, bro. Brother D-Mac is in the building. Jay Swans is in the building. My brother Jay Swans, man, he'll be talking about this shit all the time. Man, and guys, I won't be reading all the chats, but I will definitely be showing them all. And if anybody got any money, I know it's tough out there, but if you do send a super chat, I will absolutely show those and read those. But I'm just gonna show every chat. I'm not gonna be able to read them all. Sorry about that, guys. And again, this is a free forum today. This is an open mic. We're talking about whatever. It's just we happen to be talking about Fresh and Fit right now. But anybody wants to come up on the panel, we can come up and talk about whatever you want to talk about. All right. So brother Viking, I'm gonna keep it real. It's as a Fresh and Fit supporter, when I look at a lot of stuff that's going on, especially I didn't watch that After Hours, but I saw the clips of that skit they were doing.
I got it. If you need it.
I saw it, and I was just, I was disappointed. I really was disappointed. There's no other way to put it. It's bad kind of it's just like when Abba was doing the gay thing when he put the hood on his platform and he was saying all of the gay stuff and the man sex and all that. I look at it as the same. I can't condone that. I cannot condone that. Looks like my battery on my camera just went out, so I'm gonna have to do some changing here. So I want to give it to you, brother Viking, and let you go ahead and respond to that, and we'll just keep it going. And I'm gonna leave it on the 3 shot right here.
I mean, I honestly don't really know how to respond because I'm not trying to be a Fresh apologist. I'm just simply the guy that's been working behind the scenes, and I get a lot of the same criticisms. Like I said, I've heard all this before, right? You're not the first person to say exactly this stuff to me personally, because I've had at least 6 guys from like Reddit and stuff like that come into the Discord, come into the voice chat channels and assert the same things. And it all comes back to not really understanding what Fresh and Fit is really about, like trying to hold them to it's the apex fallacy. Right, you're trying to hold them to a, like a lot of the guys like Aber saying like, well, this is proof the red pill doesn't work. These red pill guys don't have integrity. They're hypocrites, right? But the thing is that Myron speaks out against Fresh. They don't agree on that. Myron get like the two things: Raw Dog Fresh and Fresh. Your plan A is plan B. What the fuck? Like, this is old jokes that have been told to try to shame Fresh, the same way that they give Chris a shit about drinking Henny all the time. Right. So it's the same thing. Like, everybody's been trying to shame Fresh into not doing this dumb shit. And he got caught up. You know, it was only a matter of time. Like, Myron was trying to tell him for a long time, like, yo, Fresh, you need to chill. Right. You need to stop doing this shit. You need to think smarter, because it doesn't matter how good your game is. You get 1,000+ girls like this. Eventually, it's going to catch up with you. Myron and I even briefly talked about it when we were talking about haters like hating about this, like when I was kind of lamenting some of that when I was in studio with him for the first time. Right. And just like, yeah, it sucks. And I told Myron and myself, I'm like, yeah, I hope it doesn't turn out to be something bad. But here we are. I'm sitting here talking about it, and here it is. But the thing is, the only reason why this girl turned out the way that it did so badly is because she did have ill intent from the very beginning. Yeah, she was a hooker. Yeah, Fresh didn't know. There's a lot of working girls in Miami selling box on the side, pretending that they're, oh, I'm just an OnlyFans girl. Or I'm a model. Like, you know, and it's very difficult to tell who's selling box and who's not. Right?
But he should know 1,000 bodies. He should know women the best, right?
That's a should would could. How is it that he should know that?
Because you use discretion, discernment. You take your time to get to know somebody. You figure out if they're a hooker before you potentially have babies with them. If you're responsible, if you're not into killing fetuses, that sort of thing.
Well, once again, the crux of your argument is that he was raw dog, and we all agree that that was a bad idea. But the thing is that this relationship didn't last more than a month. Right. And the Red Pill always says, the podcast always says, you need to vet the girl 6 months to a year before you even consider possibly anything serious. So he's he's not even up on 3 months. He's literally within a month of relationship. And even if you want to talk about the whole time span when he first showed her on camera back in the New Year's party, it was less than 3 months. So he still even got rid of her within that time. So the argument I find very baseless to say he should have known better. That's the big problem.
To authority. You're putting the authority is what Myron says. I know, but you're going on. Are we going to debate, or do you want to monologue back and forth?
I mean, it's fair for him.
Me 4 times.
I mean, it's fair. It's fair for him. It's fair for him for
4 times.
Let's be. It's okay to be a little rough here, brother Viking. I ain't gonna lie, because
you said my story got confused before. It got confused because you interrupted me 3 times.
You go all over the place. You're gish galloping.
Because I'm being thorough.
50 points. It's not thorough. You're trying to distract from the core issues. Is it or is it not a good thing? Are they or are they not completing their objectives? So why don't we go a different path? Let me ask: is it a good thing to teach men how to pick up women, like cold approach? You brought up that's one of the reasons, one of the ways they got into this was, I don't know, teaching men apparently how to cold approach. Do you think that would be a good thing for more men to learn how to cold approach today?
Yes.
And why do you think that would be a good thing?
Lacking social skills, and they don't know how to talk to women like human beings. They talk to them like a sex object. And then they fuck themselves up. So that's a social skill that we teach in the Discord as well. There's guys that come in, they're like, how do I had a guy the other day came in, like, you got any advice how to cold approach? I told him, yo, don't overthink it. Just approach her, like, you know, have a conversation with her, get her contact details, and go on with your day. Don't overthink it. I mean, that's very basic advice, but he didn't ask.
I'm sorry. My bad. I hit the wrong.
Oh, you're all good. But that's the thing. It's like whether or not it is a good thing. Like I said, Myron and Fresh say this all the time, or I should say Myron specifically. It's not about what should, would, could. It's about what is. And like I said, in this case, yeah, Fresh fucked himself up. He's taken full ownership of that. That's why I'm not sitting here trying to explain away the bullshit that he did. What I'm trying to refocus on is people trying to divert away, trying to say that this is proof that the red pill doesn't work. But the thing is, this is very much proof of the red pill. They say nobody is safe. Even if your game is A++ S tier, you can still get finessed and played by ill-intended women. So this actually proves everything that they say, but instead guys are coming up and they're saying this proves that what they say is wrong. They're literally getting an ass backwards, and that's the part that frustrates me.
Okay, I hear you. And look, I don't personally have any investment in whether or not the red pill works or not. I don't give a flying fuck. I'm concerned about, are they good men to be leading other men? And the answer to me is a resounding no. When you say Fresh took full accountability, DL, you want to pull up that video with the balloon popping? Right? This is Fresh taking accountability, making a ritual ceremony of
You're talking about the skit at the very end of the Rumble?
I'm talking about them was that on Rumble? The Asian girl balloons,
yeah.
Like
that they
Base, put that in the back chat. Put that in the back chat now.
I know what you're talking about. That was not Fresh's idea. That was something
I don't care if it was his idea. What the fuck?
They sprung it on him because they thought it was funny.
He got to own it, Viking.
Bro.
I don't think that was funny, but he got to own it though, bro. I mean, like I said,
an apologist.
Yeah, because I know things that you don't. I know. IC
bro,
was
you
showing
can't hide
us.
Behind I know things
IC
that
was
you
in the
don't.
back room in the Discord on camera showing us and telling us about it.
Who gives a fuck?
She's the one that made the joke.
He went
as far as I know.
with it. This is lack of accountability. See, I agree with you very much when you say men need to take more accountability. But then when you point at it and you're like, look, Fresh is taking full accountability. Oh, no, that wasn't his idea. He just went along with it. Is that his fucking
you're
show or not?
You're talking about something else that was done on the after hours. You're not talking about the show where he actually explained himself and took the accountability. So you're like kind of blending the two together.
Okay,
and
so
you're saying that you can't make jokes
actions.
about the situation after it turned out the girl was literally holding his dead baby over them. So they're sitting there clowning the whole situation because it's fucking ridiculous.
That's something to clown. His dead baby is something to clown. Good point. Why didn't I think of that?
Shit. Once again, you were making it about the baby. You're not making it about them clowning the girl.
I'm making it about being a shame man.
And let me just jump in real quick. And fellas, listen, we're over here. We're men. Like I said, Viking's a former Marine. I'm a former paratrooper. I mean, I keep saying Viking. Base is a former Marine. I'm a former paratrooper. Viking, don't just go hard, baby. Just go hard. We're still respectful, but we can take hits. We're men. You know what I'm saying? We can take hits, and we're gonna allow each other to talk. So when we jump into whatever, I'm not gonna stop us from being that. We don't have to be like clinically clean here. You know what I mean? We still men, right? So are you cool with that, Viking?
I'm fine, man. I'm used to this.
You cool with that? Cool. And Base, you cool? Yeah, Base. I know Base is cool because this is what they do over there. So I'm gonna show this. Give me a second. It's gonna take me a second to pull this up. I'm gonna say now that I don't agree with it. When I saw it, I was embarrassed, bro. I gotta keep it 100, man. I was a little bit embarrassed. This is something that I certainly had I known, like into Oracle's point, you know, you got to take responsibility for it. Miami and Fresh are equally responsible for anything that they decide to put on the show, even if it was a producer's call or whatever call. You got to take responsibility for it. That's also part of being a man. You know, that's also part of being a leader. Like I say, and I'm always the guy that's like, hey, keep leading from the front. When you're leading from the front, you got to take all the accolades, you know, all the slings, all the arrows. You got to take all of the accolades along with it as well. So we make mistakes, man. We're all fucking human. I think this is a mistake. Now let me go ahead and play this. Here we go.
Your scores. No, I don't want your kid.
All right, that's enough. I cannot condone that in any way, shape, or form. That's a life, bro. Even if she really wasn't, and that might have been the argument, like we don't think she ever was really pregnant in the first place. It is still that's in poor taste, and that's coming from a comic who's been in the business over 20 years. Now, because they did it, is it okay for them to do it? Yeah, I mean that's their platform. I believe in free speech, but I definitely, if I were sitting there on the production team and we were saying, hey, we're thinking about running this skit, I would have been an adamant no on that. Like, no, let's not do that. This is horrible taste. And if you still want to do it, let's do, like people say, well, it's too soon. We could do it X amount of months or years down the road. We're still talking about innocent life, the most innocent, like a child. We don't know whose child that was, right? But it doesn't matter. That was bad. That's my take on that. I'll let Viking say his piece, but that was my take on that.
Like I said, I thought it was funny. I'll be honest. I have a dark sense of humor, though. I'm a Norse Viking. So we always have a morbid sense of humor about death, right? The idea is, you live a good life and you die on your feet rather than living on your knees, right? And you go to Valhalla, right? And I'm dumbing that down a lot. But the point is that, yeah, a lot of people have dark sense of humor like that. And what that skit is basically showcasing effectively what that chick did. She didn't really have the baby. She pretended that she had the baby, and then it was all smoke and mirrors. So like I said, you might not agree with the execution of the joke, and you didn't find it funny. Like you obviously you guys didn't find that funny, and then for a little bit of context, like my mom had 2 abortions before she had me, right? So I had an older sister and older brother. I know well about this. My mom used to counsel battered women and women getting over the depression after having abortions that she went through. She almost killed herself before she had me because of that stuff. And my dad made her go through the abortion. And the guy before that gave her an ultimatum like, oh, abort the baby or I'm breaking up. She aborted the baby and he broke up with her anyway. Right. So I've seen this firsthand, talking to my mom and seeing other women go through similar situations as well and hearing them crying on the line and whatnot growing up as a kid. So I'm very familiar with the dark side of this stuff. But like I said, that's one of those situations where we're going to have to agree to disagree, because like DL saying, you said, what your friend said, funny's funny, right? You didn't find it funny, but there was a lot of people, and there was even people coming into the Discord telling us that we should do a skit because they didn't watch the After Hours, right? And there was guys literally making recommendations. Yo, they should do a skit about this. That would be funny on the show.
I bet your mom would find it funny though, right? Wouldn't your mom find it funny after just saying all that, right? She almost offed herself due to it in real life. And now that's being put as a comedy show, right? It's fucking funny. Right?
Yes,
I'm sure your mom would find it very
context
humorous.
Matters, right? Do we agree that context matters?
Sure, yeah.
So in this context
that differentiates
in this context,
a dead baby.
The truth had just been outed earlier that day. Myron found the information, the evidence that shows the timeline, right? The odds are, based on the evidence and the timeline that's been established, as far as I've seen, and then once again, I'm not a perfect man, and I don't know everything about this. DL Sate may even know more than me. I'm just a guy and an admin in the Discord. But from what I've seen, what came to light is that she hadn't had the baby at all. She had Fresh's baby in her womb. She aborted it and then tried to finesse a place out of him without telling him, and then she tried to hold it over him and drag him when that didn't pan out.
I feel so bad for him.
Yeah,
no, I don't feel bad for him. What I am irritated with personally is how people are trying to say that Fresh is the monster here, but you're talking about a woman that aborted a man's child and then tried to hold his dead baby over him.
He told her to.
Right. So let me jump in. Let me jump in.
Let me jump in real quick. That moral outrage against him.
Yeah, let me jump in real quick. Brother D-Mac with the $20 super chat, man. I appreciate you, bro. And his comment is just simple. Good show, bro, man. I appreciate you, bro. Brother D-Mac is an asset, man. Another real one, a good G out there. And I know there's a lot of people watching this right now, and they're like, oh my God, this shit sounds so horrible. But I want people to understand something. 2 things. First of all, life is horrible, bro. Period. Life is horrible. I don't care where you are on planet Earth, it can be all bad, but we have to strive to do good. And when we do bad, the people who need to hold you to account are those people who are in your circle. You know what I mean? Seeing that, it's like, man, again, like when I do see Myron and Fresh and I talk to him, I talk about things like this. Like, hey man, that was, I don't know about that, bro. Like, why did y'all do that? What was the thinking behind it? It's just kind of like what Brother Viking was saying. It's like, well, a lot of people found that funny. I don't at all. I mean, I didn't find it funny. I didn't see the humor in it, and I didn't see it in good taste either. But I'm an older dude. You ain't gonna find many humors darker than mine. You feel me? I got a dark ass humor, but that right there just kind of, man, that rubbed me the wrong way. But I always point back to this. no one is perfect. There are still lessons to be learned here. And the fact that there are people out there willing to do this on both ends. Like, you know, like I said, Fresh is a monster, whatever. He had no real say in this. He said what he wanted to say, but old girl was running this play from the beginning. Old girl was running this play from the beginning. She's a horrible person as well. I'm not saying Fresh is better. I'm not saying that she is worse. They're just, you know, and this, they're not the only two. You know, the country is full of people who are doing this. We just don't get to see it play out in 1080p. You know what I mean? So Brother Glenn is going to join us here in a second. So I see Brother Glenn in the background.
I'm glad you brought that up, though, which is, look, there's this false dichotomy that you're presenting that either she's bad or he's bad, right? Like, oh, no, he's not the bad one. Look at what she did. Look, I'm going to grant you, she's a piece of shit. Any men dealing with her are fucking retarded. Meanwhile, that doesn't take any of the accountability away from him. The idea of, oh, well, look at what she did. Look at what she did. That is the opposite of Fresh taking accountability. That's the opposite. Has nothing to do with it, what a horrible person she is.
No, Fresh is.
It just goes towards his very poor discretion and discernment in picking out ladies, which according to them, the more sex you have with women, right, with different women, the more that you would know women. So based on his purported 1,200 leg count, whatever the fuck it is, he should know women the best. Nobody could play him, right? His game is so good, he's going to teach it to his fans. But who actually played the game wasn't him. It was her.
Now we're all
fooled and finessed into thinking.
Now, let me say this.
Well, hold on, Brother Glenn, real quick. I'm gonna let you cook. I'm gonna give you the platform for a good minute. Here's the thing: it's just that the game. Simply because, let's say you're good at the game, don't mean you're gonna win every time, right? And this is a horrible game we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just keep it 100. You know what I mean? This kind of stuff. Only thing worse than this is war, and that's. I question that. You know what I mean? So simply, Michael Jordan took losses. I just want to throw that out there, but as far as what we just saw with that skit, I can't get behind that at all. But that doesn't mean that I'm not behind Fresh and Fit. I think there's still room. Like, we can talk. I think that's my role as one of the elders. I don't want to say elder, but one of the older dudes that they listen to. I can talk and say, hey man, you know, let's talk about this. And so as long as they're listening to me and improving or trying to improve or moving a different way, then I'm gonna keep rocking with them. But if this was to the people out there who the anti-Fresh and Fit folks, if this was something that was like day in, day out, every day, this kind of stuff, I would definitely have to back away. This is a path I can't follow. You know, that sort of thing, man, making fun of, you know, sacrificing innocence. And that's what it boils down to me. I that's how I look at it. But Brother Glenn, welcome to the show, man. I'm gonna give you time to cook. Tell everybody who you are, and then you know, and then get into whatever it is you want to say, or however you want to do it.
You know what? I'm the blackest man on the panel.
I'm about to pull you off this damn panel right now, bro. You know me, keep saying shit like that, man. We can't even have you around, bro.
I'm 5%. Leave me alone. No. Man, I said everything. You know, you guys are talking about Fresh and Fit in the video, and that's fine. Because that skit, I sent it to Base. I said, yo, this is bad. Right? But the real losers in all this are all those idiots that jumped on the bandwagon and started co-signing some information that they had no knowledge of. I said it from day one. Let the dust settle. Let's find out what is true here. The only thing that we knew that was true is that Fresh wanted an abortion, and that was foul. He wanted to avoid accountability. That was
hold
foul.
on and put a pin in that. I'm gonna let you keep cooking, but put a pin in that you know that he wanted whatever he wanted, so we can talk about that, man. I want us to keep cooking, and then I'm gonna jump in.
Because here's the thing: Abba and Preach doubled down on it. They believed the chick. Okay, Duke the Don brought the chick on her platform, believing this chick, right? Everybody was believing this chick. All these guys, all these dating coaches or, you know, gurus or self-help guys were jumping at right out the bat. We don't need bitches saying believe all women. We got guys doing it. Nobody wanted to wait until the dust settles. I said from day one. Let the dust settle. The only thing we could judge him on right now is what he said out of his own mouth.
Okay.
That's it. And I think everybody else is an idiot for jumping on the bandwagon, co-signing a chick, validating her statement when nobody had any dealings with her. Nobody knew her. Nobody had any intimate relation or any business or any friendship with her. They just believed her by default. We don't need all these feminists outside of the state building saying believe all women and women's rights. We got dudes co-signing that by default. It's stupid.
All right. So the one thing I do want to throw in there, and like I said, if it were up to me, if they said, hey, DL Saint, it's up to you whether, the deletion, terminating pregnancies is legal or not. It was a tie vote. Every American voted, and your vote is the one that's going to make it legal or illegal. Then it will be illegal if it were up to me. But I do understand why it is legal, and I do understand the woman's right to choose, and that's just the lay of the land right now. That's what it is. With that being said, and the way it's set up now, any man out here who's dealing with women, and whether you're wearing a condom, you taking steps or whatever, but if you get into a situation where she is she is pregnant, you have no say. You can say what you want to say. You know what I mean? You can go cry to the high heavens. Whatever she's going to do, she's going to do. And if you try to force her to do anything other than that, they're going to lock you up for it. You know what I mean?
That's not the issue that I have, DL. My issue is, man, we're supposed to be accountable. You stick your dick in something and you nut inside her. 9 months later, you may have a baby come out. And by the way, I watched that Bill Barr stand up. That shit was hilarious.
I told you, man. I told you. Told you Bill Burr is a beast, man. Y'all know what I'm talking about, man. I know comedy now. Brother Pablo Chicano, $20 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. Let me give you your flowers, man. You're like, both are monsters and deserve each other. Both are monsters and deserve each other. Infinity.
Here's the thing about this is where I have an issue with him. You're on a stream. You are holding men accountable, telling men to level up. You got to be, do your thing. Cool. But part of accountability is Rollo writes this, and that's 9 iron rules, right? Iron rule number 5, right? Isn't it? Be controlled the birth. Okay. Fresh and Fit, they're all about that, and they're all about what Rollo writes. Okay, then. So you're not practicing what you're preaching here. So now you're not in control of the birth, and you're saying, I want out of my responsibility of being a father because I didn't take the responsibility of being in control of the birth. Now
I don't agree with that part. Brother, but continue.
I think if you get a girl pregnant, you don't get to say, hey, I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to be accountable.
I think you do because she can, because she doesn't have to be accountable. But you have this is where we differ because
we're not equal. We're not equal. Okay.
We are under the eyes of the law. I would argue we are.
But no, we're not though. We're not in the lives of society. Maybe they want to assume that way, but that's a delusion. But
that's what we got to go with, right? Because
we don't have to
live. No.
That's not
until we change the laws.
If that's the case, DL, then I could be black. We're gonna go by delusion. We're gonna go by delusion. But here's the thing, though.
If the law says you are, right, then there's nothing I can do about that. If we got wacky laws that says simply because I feel like merch, simply because I feel like I am a different gender, the law says I am now. Then that's crazy talk. That's the law. All I'm saying is,
doesn't mean we can't violate them from believing that, but doesn't mean that we have to operate that way.
And look, let me pause because I got to hop off in a minute. I don't want to just abruptly hop off. I'm starting stream at 15.
Hey man, why don't you go ahead? Can we stream together? Can you just do your stuff with our stuff and go crazy?
Yeah, why can't you just co-stream? Why don't you be gay?
I don't have an option for that.
It doesn't give you an option?
Oh no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
You have to be added in, yeah.
How do I do that? I'm sorry.
I mean, if you want, you could co-stream.
Yeah, I know I'm new to this.
I mean, it'd be the same thing.
I will. I'll do that. Once you get started, I'll jump over there and co-stream yours.
Cool.
So we can keep this conversation going. But I know you wanted to say something. Let's give you the mic, bro. Let's give you.
I'm not going to reopen it because I only got 15 here. But I will say I'm happy to continue the conversation, Viking. No personal anything, but definitely ready to open up this fucking Pandora's box, and I'm sure it will be. So if you want to, head over or do a stream, we'll do that in a few.
I know I'll come over and do a stream.
Cool.
I was his Uber rider.
Yeah, he was.
You're saying really?
No.
Yeah.
So when he came out to Vegas, when I was in Vegas, he went out to Vegas.
Shit.
Yeah, I went to Sticky Paws and I got my book signed by Rolo, and then I was going to link up with Charlie McGall, and he gave me right over to their studio so I could consult with them and tell them like some of the shit they could do to upgrade it.
Cool.
Yep.
All right.
And he's part of the Dragon ship now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna head out and I'll see you guys in a few.
All right.
Yeah,
all right, brother.
Like at the end of the day, here's the thing. Oh, I need to get my focus right. Hold on. There we go. My focus is good.
You be all right, bro.
At the end of the day, right? When you come down to it, they cannot use saying, well, women want to avoid accountability. Abortion is the number one example or expression of hypergamy when men are advocating for it too, when it's convenient for them. So what does it make it for them? Is it men now? Are men now hypergamous?
Well, here's how I look at it, brother. Here's how I look at it. And this is where I get zeros and ones.
Can you answer that question? Are men now hypergamous if they want to advocate for abortions as well as a means to avoid
both men? My answer to that question is yeah, both men and women are hypergamous. It's just women run it to a different extent. There's not a man that men will settle for what they believe they can get. But even when settling, they're getting the best of that. So if a dude is like, you know what, I can't get a 10, that's fine. I only qualify for, let's say, a 6, a step above average, but he wants to get the 6 that's almost a 7. You feel me? So we are hypergamous in that. I know when I shop, I'm shopping and I want the best. I'm not purposely going out getting the absolute worst. And if I'm looking at a bin of day-old tomatoes, I want the best of the day-old tomatoes. So we're all hypergamous.
I don't think that's. I think your understanding of hypergamy is different than what Rolo writes about. And hypergamy is like women like to look up to the man. So are you looking up to the woman when you're shopping for her, or when you're looking at those tomatoes, are you going? Well, I'll look up to that tomato. You know, like there's a difference between wanting the best, right, and then wanting to look. A woman cannot be with you unless they look up to you. Right? She doesn't respect you unless she can look across from you or up to you, and you want her to look up to you, right? Because a woman can't respect someone that she's above. So hypergamy, if in the sense of hypergamy, as Rolo writes about, abortion is the extreme example of hypergamy, meaning that a woman would rather self-delete the child of someone that she finds lesser value than being with. So if according to Rolo, only men can be hypergamous. So
but brother Dane, you're talking about, you said Rolo about 5 times in that last little clip right there, boy. Now you know where I'm coming from. Mm-hmm. Respect the Rolo, but I'm not Rolo. I'm telling you how DL Saint feels on this shit.
So that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, well, my understanding of hypergamy is wanting to get the best that you can. And when it comes to women dating, hypergamous dating nature is wanting to date either across and up, as opposed where men just date wherever. So the way I look at it is, and I've said this on this platform many a time, the way women may select hypergamously is far superior than the way that men select. Although all men would love to get a dime, the difference being men understand shit, I ain't getting there. Because we're problem solvers. The problem is, can I get a dime? That's the problem. The answer is no, I can't get a dime. Let me get this, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, whatever it boils down to. Now you were saying about looking up to and all that. No, when I say men want the best, and I'm saying that is akin to hypergamous, because when being hypergamous, women want the best, but most men aren't gonna I look up to her, although there are guys out there who do.
So physical best.
Physical best, or whatever, the sexiest, the fine. What do guys normally want? They want youth and beauty for the most part. So he wants to get the best along those lines.
Okay, I wouldn't say. I understand the verbiage you're using. I wouldn't necessarily equate that to say hypergamy though, because I think words mean something. Yeah, right. Words are very important. So I don't want to mince words there. I would like to say men want the most shiniest, attractive toy, right? But I don't necessarily, they can get, but I don't look up to my toy. Hypergamy requires a level of respect and submission. And I think that
that part right there, I don't agree with. Let's let Brother Viking jump in because I'm just curious to hear his take on it.
Well, so it's kind of difficult to answer your question just, without like maybe devolving, going down some rabbit holes, because, trying to flip it back, well, are men hypergamous? You could argue that, right? Like you just did. The thing that I'm looking at is, for one, like in terms of your main criticism is that, well, Fresh should have taken responsibility for the baby. And having been in a situation where I had an unplanned child, right? And I did take responsibility. So I can say I'm a guy that's been in that situation and I did what you recommend, Glenn. I took accountability for that. I have the kid. He's 9 years old. I actually just had to shoo him out of the room because he came in trying to see what I'm doing, right? Even though I asked him not to disturb me, right? But he's 9 years old. So that the issue that I take with that is that when you say that, oh, because Fresh did this, now the Fresh and Fit podcast is promoting this. That'd be similar.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if they're going to use abortion to say it's a negative antidote for women, saying that women do this and it's a negative thing, it's a free range hypergamy, or a woman that gets an abortion is a red flag, right? Which they had said that before. So if a woman gets an abortion is a red flag, what is it? Is it a red flag for a guy that advocates for a woman to get an abortion to avoid having to be accountable? That's what I'm asking. That's the question.
Yeah, and that's a fair point. I agree with that. Because, and here's why, because like I said, it's been an ongoing roasting of Fresh, the same way that we roast on the Dragon Ship, right? We roast each other and whatnot. Myron has been roasting Fresh for years about, Fresh, your plan A is plan B, right?
Yeah.
And that stuff, Raw Dog Fresh. And he roasts him relentlessly to the point where we even kind of talked about it for a couple seconds, like I told Based Oracle, in the studio one-on-one. I touched on that, and Myron and I both agreed that we wish Fresh would listen, and we hope he wouldn't have to pay the ultimate price in the end, right?
And I think
but
that's
here
the
we
only
are
thing
years later.
I think that's the only thing we could get on Fresh about. That's it. I think everybody. I think the real blame needs to be on everybody else, and that's where people are missing it. The real problem is all these people in here, all this space talking, trying to give advice. They're the problem because they fucking gave credit to this broad who nobody knew, and they just took her word. How many guys
I don't agree with that, bro. Brother Glenn, I don't. My thing is this. I want to put the responsibility on the dudes who are out here idolizing other dudes. Like that brother Marine, brother Z out there, wherever you are. I see you, Devil Dog. The other night I was hanging out in a cigar bar. Just a random Marine came up, turned out to be a Marine, old soldier. And he was saying back in the Roman days, when a general would conquer a new land, they would come home, they would give him a triumph, which is like the parade. They give him a triumph. Right. And he's going through and everyone is screaming his praises. And you're the man. You're the guy. You're better than us in this. And there will be a slave on the chariot right next to him. Right. And that slave will be whispering in his ear, you're only human. You are a regular man. That's right. That's what, this is my thing. Yes. This is my thing. This is my thing right here with that. These guys who are out here idolizing, be it the Myron Freshers of the world, or the Andrew Tates of the world, or the Donald Trumps of the world, or the Barack Obamas of the world, or you name it, right? What they need to do is stop idolizing another man that's just as flawed as you are. I want to put it on them. So like the whole thing, and then what Brother Viking was saying. Real quick, I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish this thought and I'm gonna give it to you. What Brother Viking was saying, with reference to his child, I would push back and say, bro, you were just lucky that your woman in that situation decided to have your baby, because the choice was 100% hers. No matter what you did, there was nothing you can do about that. Brother Knightish is in the building. Just want to show some love. Brother Shaw is in the building, also enjoying the conversation. I see you, Brother Shaw. Hey, y'all, please go over there and check out This Is Shaw, man. That brother be breaking down some good shit over there on his platform, man. He used to work with the family court system,
actually, he's in
child services.
Is it Shaw in Vegas?
I don't know. We'll wait and see. He might, because he was in California. I thought he was in Northern California. I thought him and I were on Pearl's channel together. This is Possibly. Shaw. I think this is Shaw. Yeah, real cool cat. Yeah. Me and him, I was supposed to link up with him. We'll make it happen, man. Quit fucking around. Yeah. But you wanted to say something. You were going to say something.
I was going to say, this is the thing. When people are acting as reporters on streams and are giving opinion pieces and trying to validate someone's stuff as if they're saying fact, that's part of the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the problem. I don't want my ear.
Hilarious.
Look at my ear. There we go.
This is not one of your Hollywood artsy fartsy movies, man. Quit bullshitting. give me a standard one shot, bro. Quit playing.
No, but it's like, it's like we're not. It's better to go off the facts. The fact is that she said this, report what she said. He said this. That's all you know. Other than that, you don't know anything. But people were giving her credit. Abba's fucking like his video. Did I maybe might have been? No, bro. You co-signed her. You validated her. You took it to a whole nother level, and that's wrong. Because here's the thing. People could act on it. We got crazy people out here. We got crazy people that fall. And again, you're mentioning the followers and all that stuff. You're right. There's some crazy followers. What if some pro-life somebody saw that video and then heard like, oh, Fresh is wanting to do this, and they're a huge Abba and Preach supporter or whatever, and they decided to go, take matters in their own hands and teach Fresh a lesson. Where do they get that information from? They got their information from bad reporting. There's a level of accountability there. That's why I said the people that are really wrong in this are the people that co-sign somebody without fact checking, without verifying anything the information that was said was true.
But Brother Glenn, that's always going to be the case.
Yeah, that's the reality. I was going to say that, I agree with you because it's what goes back to what I said before about the apex fallacy. This is the common thing that you see people with ill intent within the outside or adjacent to the manosphere, or people even within the manosphere. Because if you're a man making contact about intersexual dynamics, you're in the manosphere. You can't say you're not. It's just the definition. It's just the title for that purpose to quantify it. The thing is that everybody's trying to hold. They did this to Myron too. They try to hold these guys to an impossible standard, so that way any mistake they make, they try to capitalize and kick them while they're down. Right? It happened to Myron too. That's why Myron is so pissed off about this, and why he's like, all good with making jokes about it too, because he's got a dark sense of humor. And the thing is that apex fallacy I've seen over and over again. It's always the same thing. Instead of focusing on what you're focusing on, Glenn, going like, yeah, well, Fresh wanting the abortion, that's pretty fucked up. Right?
That even though he was being irresponsible. I don't care if he fucks hoes. I don't care who he bangs. Because I have done hoes. I have made hoes. Okay, like there's probably a couple of girls that I've turned out. All right, like I'm not innocent.
They turned you out, bro. You think you turned them out? They turned you out, homie. Let's get
they were in church. They were praying.
but the point, but like I said, the point remains is that they're focused on the wrong things.
Exactly.
Right? They're focused on all this bullshit, all the vitriol from the people that want to tear down the entire podcast. And and actually touching back on a question that was asked, by Based Oracle about, if Fresh and Fit is a good example. Well, asking that question, am I a good example?
Is anyone a good example?
I don't want to be anybody's hero.
I'm going somewhere with this, so that I'm asking that. Like, would you consider me a bad example? How about that? Am I a bad example for other men?
I would say, based
on your perception.
Some areas in your life, you're a great example about knowing how to hook up a studio and hook up the Wi-Fi and do the internet right. You're a great example for that. You would be someone that I would want to mentor after that. But you pick and choose from people's character. I don't know you very well. Like I don't know what you do with your son. I don't know how you raise your kid. I don't know if you're a shitty person off screen. All I know is what you show me and what I've interacted with you on. Right? So that's all I could judge. So I can say in these areas, I think Viking is fucking great. I don't know about these other areas. I am to be determined.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why I brought that up, it was a little bit of a leading question, because the thing is that the reason why I've been able to network with Fresh and Fit and get where I'm at, go out to Miami, meet up with you, meet up with Charlie Miguel and all these guys, link up with DL Saint. All of that was because of shit that I learned from Fresh's example. Okay. So this, when the question is asked to me, is Fresh a good example for guys? It's like, well, if guys are using that information for ill intent, then yes, he's a terrible example. But once again, you can't control how people respond to the information they're given. I think
that's a loaded question.
You can influence it. But once again, trying to say that, somebody is that a host is responsible because somebody else made an assumption, that's a non sequitur, right?
Yeah. I think it is though, but it's a loaded question to say, is so and so a good example? Well, unless you observe so and so's life every single day, you do not know.
Well, that's what I was at. That's thank you, because that was the point that I was trying to get to. Is that's what I was pushing back on Based Oracle before. Is that he's posing the question like, well, is Fresh and Fit a good example? But it's like they're trying to lump Myron in with Fresh in this mistake. But the thing is that Myron didn't even make a mistake and got same accusations over a year ago, and he's also publicly, consistently pushed back on Fresh clowning him on air for years.
You could say the mistake is not vetting the women properly that they have engaged with.
Agreed. And not protecting yourself. Agreed. And that's the lesson that can be learned. I want to say this real quick, and I want to say this to both Viking and brother Viking and brother Glenn. Like the Abba and Priest thing. Abba didn't give a damn about this Daisy Chin chick.
Nope.
He didn't care at all. Abba doesn't care. He wants to go after that platform. Myron and Fresh. I made the analogy like it's the whole Moby Dick thing, and he's Captain Ahab, and Myron and Fresh, and maybe the entire Red Pill is the giant whale he's gonna chase to his own demise. That's how I see that, right? Instead of just coming at it 100.
To me, he's a bad actor.
Right, extremely bad actor. But there are people out there who pedestalize him and follow him, even with his bad jokes and whatnot. And this is my whole point. I don't like Abba and Preach's platform, but I've seen clips and I've seen some of their content where they were spot on in what they were talking about. So I'm not going to discard everything that they say. There are a lot of people out there who just don't like Red Pill content. They don't like that there are guys out there trying to teach other guys that, hey man, it ain't lollipops and candy canes out here, bro. Man, these hoes ain't loyal, like the song said. Like, these hoes ain't loyal, bro. And the system is against you if you make more. If you're doing this, if you're a guy who's getting out there and is going to be successful, you really need to think about what you're doing with these women, because there's some women, not all, not even most, right? There's a small percentage of women out there who are hunting high value top tier men, and people don't like that message. Now, I don't know why that is, and that's why they go after the Andrew Tates and the Fresh and Fits.
Well, the reason is because we could say, there's predator women out there.
And they're predator men too. Like, it's just
predator men, and it's a different category though. See, and this is why they don't like it, because they think it's less than. Predator men go after a woman physically, right? And that's
so not all. I mean, you look at the Tinder swindler.
Okay, really big.
There are a lot of dudes like that. There are a lot of guys like that. Really no, I'm talking about that's that pimp life. That's that pimp layer.
Let's call that 10%. Out of the 100, right? So, but when we're talking about predator men, right? They're going after the woman's physical, right? They're trying to capitalize on her physicality, right? Not so much are going after the resources, like unless they're the Tinder swindler at 10%. So when women look at it, like, well, we're calling us predators. We're just going after their money. We're not trying to do any physical damage to them. We're not trying to cost their lives. That they look at it differently. It's a different level to them. We equate it to the same.
I don't agree. Not to the full extent. I disagree on that. I push back maybe 25% on that, because there are women out there. Because think about it. Y'all remember that news story maybe a few years back where the woman talked to dude into turning on his car, closing the garage door, and sitting in the car until he was done, and then he came out the garage. I don't know if you heard the story or not, but he was in there, slowly deleting himself, and then he came out and got and was on the phone with her, and she talked him into going back in there and finishing the deed. Now are there a lot of women like that? There are enough. There are women out there who will set you up in a heartbeat to get toe up. You know this, Dylan. You know this. How many women in Hollywood?
I went through a court martial.
Thank you. So this is there, and the Red Pill teaches to be leery of these. And people like, well, you guys are women bashing. No, like Fresh and Fist say, we love women. Obviously, Fresh loves them, maybe a little too much. You know what I mean? You just wrap it up or get fixed.
No, I don't think it's love women. They love what they could gain from women or what they could do with women. Loving women, I think, is a whole different topic that I don't think we really talk about in this community. Because loving women would actually, in my opinion, letting them face accountability, letting them learn from the consequences of their own actions. Love is discipline as much as it is comfort and support and compassion. Love is discipline. We don't love women in our society. We don't. We avoid. All right. There's a news article I sent it to Sarah.
Wait. You're saying so you're saying the laws are structured in a way that keeps women avoiding of accountability, and that's the opposite of love. That's not love.
That's not love. We don't love women in our society.
There's such a thing as loving too much, right?
No.
I even saw a family member go through this. So she was victimized by the body positivity mindset, ended up dying before her own parents did. And she would, like, when I go over there for my birthday as a kid, you know, she ended up being type 1 diabetic from becoming type 2 diabetic and completely neglecting and stuff like that, and ballooned up and was obese. And she, when we'd be alone, like nobody else around, none of the other family around, multiple times she'd break down in tears and beg me to not be like her. But nobody else would hold her accountable. Nobody else would tell her. And I told her, like, yo, stop eating the candy bars. Stop abusing yourself. And she wasn't listening to me because my voice, even though she wanted the best for me, I was drowned out by everybody else that was enabling her and literally giving her the things and making her able to get away with the behaviors that were causing her to become morbidly obese to the point where she would fall and break both of her arms multiple times. Crazy stuff. It was brutal to watch.
What's going on in California right now in Ventura County? This article came out today, and I actually did this. I covered this story months ago. This girl got high off.
Shout out to the 805.
Oh yeah, the 805. The 805, keeping it alive. This girl murdered her boyfriend, stabbed him 108 times. She gets off on like probation, and she's appealing for a lesser sentence. You know why she did it? You know her excuse was? Because I was high. Because I was high. Because I was high.
Yeah, she got stoned and lost her shit and
she blamed it on the weed. And now the weed gets you free to be. We don't love women. Now this girl's getting away from accountability. She already got a probation. So I'm thinking the only thing that she's appealing now is to try to get it removed from her record. Right? Like, what's lesser than probation? We don't love women. And so what women tend to do, and it's no fault to women. This goes back to men. We don't love them enough to let them face the consequences of their actions, to the point where their course of life is all altered and they can never go get what they wanted to get. I'm sorry. You know what? If you're a felon and you go to prison and you're a felon and you want to vote, you will never get to vote, or you can never become president. That may have been your childhood aspirations. You will never become president. You might become president of the Inmate Association, but you're never going to become president of the United States of America. That's about
to change, because that's it. I mean, I agree with you, but it looks like that's about to change.
But you see what I'm saying? Is like
I hear what you're saying, and here's the thing: with just people out here in the red, they deep in the red pill, just listening to this or watch this in the clips, and they were like, "See, brother Glenn agrees." Brother Glenn agrees because the red pill really loves their women because they're gonna hold them to account. The red pill loves women because they want to hold them accountable, and I think that's a slippery slope. I think
you're right. You're right. They will say that, and I'll be like, but see, you don't. Before you can hold accountable, you have to be of account.
Yep, self-leadership.
So it goes, so it goes back to that, and again, to sit here. I wish Base was here. And I know I got my eye on his platform to see when he's going to start. But Base was saying that Myron and Fresh, they're degenerates. You were there when I got ambushed. You guys were right there. I mean, you know what I mean? Y'all were all, hit me with the shank.
I said, all I said was like, why are you wearing that shirt? And the next thing you know, everybody got you.
Like, goddamn. But it was like contact front, contact rear, contact flanks. But the thing is this. Yes, there's some examples out there of some bad behavior on it, like from Myron and Fresh, we're talking about them, but anyone else out there, right? But there are also examples, they're like good things. And even in their bad times, there are really good lessons to be learned here, to Brother Viking's point. You know what I mean? Like, listen, everyone wants to jump on Fresh. Yes, and absolutely. And then it's like, well, everyone wants to jump and talk about this Daisy chick. Fresh should have seen her coming from a mile away. I don't know why he didn't.
Yeah.
He should have. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. Can I sit there and say, oh, Uncle Saint would have saw that? No, because I got caught up too, man. There you go, making your artsy movies. Glenn over there making his artsy fartsy movies again. But
look at
what I have seen that. Yeah, like have I got caught up? Yes, I've got caught up. And these are lessons that all men need to learn. So you sitting out here like what? You putting Fresh on a pedestal saying Fresh is perfect. Who the hell said that? Myron and Fresh never said that. Myron and Fresh never called themselves alpha males. Myron and Fresh constantly says Basically, do what we say, not what we do. Be careful moving like Fresh. Myron says, y'all don't want to do what I do. Be careful moving like me. But you got guys out there who just don't know any better, right? I want to be like Andrew Tate and drink soda water and smoke cigars and shave my head. Or I want to be like Fresh and go out here and run the play, the Playboy fantasy game and get Lamborghinis or whatever. Or I want to be like Myron and wear the same t-shirt and shoes, you know what I mean? And just be be real smart with my money and buy real estate, when the real guy might want to be a variant of all of them. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the problem. And that's one of the things that it boils down to know your mission. Like, what's your mission, bro? What are you trying to be?
Know yourself first. Know what you want out of life first. And then you look at these people and you go, oh, okay, I could get some potential. You know what? Become a minimalist like Myron. Myron's a minimalist. Let's be honest. Myron's a minimalist.
Yeah, I think that's what I was looking for. Yeah, he is.
He's a minimalist. And I would say he probably shadows a lot from Aaron Clarey. I'm sure those two spent a lot of time together. I bet Aaron Clarey's helped him out a lot. Aaron Clarey's helped out me a lot too. Aaron Clarey's a minimalist. I love talking to the guy, even though he likes to give me shit all the time. But Aaron Clarey's great. Like,
I would like to be more like a George Gammon. If I had my choice, if I were a young man, I would be looking at George Gammon. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't, he's not a minimalist. George Gammon is making smart moves and living a good life and being a top tier G, right? As an old school cat. You might have a guy who want to be like Michael Surtain and just be the guy out there starting his business and capitalizing and monetizing his social network. The point is this: the people trying to demonize the red pill space and all the guys in the red pill, and they're trying to say that these guys are like they're false leaders and this and that. And this is what I was trying to get with Base. I was like, bro, they don't come in there to say that they're leaders. People are just gravitating towards them. I'm glad Brother Viking came and said what he said. He was like,
but at the same time, if they don't correct them, if you don't correct them, if they're calling you a leader and you're like, hey, I'm not your leader. If I'm your leader, you're fucking up. Okay? If you don't correct them and you just let them say it, and that you have by default enabled that behavior.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like I said, I know Fresh and Fit from the beginning, and they do not preach that. They do exactly what you're saying. They call that stuff out. We're not the Alpha Male Podcast. Everybody says we're the Alpha Male Podcast. We're not. We never said we're alphas. We're just guys that had to figure it out, and we're still
nerds to figure it out.
They have alluded to high value, though. They have said they're high value.
They are high value guys.
They are.
Based on
and think about it,
real
quick.
Has that standard.
Well, okay. Listen for a second. So you made a good point, Glenn, about how Myron's a minimalist. But you know where he's not a minimalist? His studio.
Oh yeah, no, that studio's legit.
Like I said, I like the computer that runs it. I literally built for him on his kitchen counter in the last studio. Like I said, that was almost an $8,000 computer just for the computer alone, right? Because it's the same computer I'm running right now, more or less, right? Because the shit fucking works. So, and I put a lot of effort into researching that to make that happen. And it was very easy for me to convince Myron, despite being a minimalist, yo, you're running all this stuff in this studio, all the sound equipment, and you're using a slightly above average computer to run it. Like, you know better than that, And he's just like, well, let me think about it. And then 5 minutes later, he's like, yeah, let's do it. What do I order? And that's where he'll measure twice, cut once. So he's very minimalistic in most areas of his life. He doesn't do the bling stuff like Fresh does, but when it counts,
that's good.
He spends, right? And that's why he's able to do that, is because he knows what to prioritize. That's the key thing about minimalism, is it's not that you're like living a shitty life. It's that you are spending your money extremely wisely and not overspending on shit you didn't need to spend money on.
Aaron Clarey has 2 homes. Most people don't have 2 homes. Aaron Clarey's like, you know what? I'm going to the Dakotas for the winter. I'm going to Vegas, I'm going to Vegas for the winter. Dakotas for the summer. Like, he's smart.
And Brother Glenn, let me tackle that high value top tier guy part, right? When Myron and Fresh first started, and they were, Myron was doing his government work, 6 figures. Fresh was doing what he was doing. I believe he was 6 figures. You know what I mean? But he was very close if he wasn't. But I believe he was, because he was already like getting into the real estate game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They weren't calling themselves top tier guys. They were bringing Kevin Samuels on. They were bringing all these other dudes on. But then guess what? They were making investments. They were doing their things. They look up one day, and they had Myron had one of his accountants on, and the accountant told him like, well, bro, you're officially a millionaire.
Yeah.
What? Like, so right there, now you're by just about every metric out there, you're a top tier guy, like the financial stuff. Now, that doesn't mean that you are the best at everything and this and that. But if you're a 7-figure dude, right, and if you're a high 6-figure dude, you're top tier, right? I mean, you're certainly in the. Once you get to the top 20, go ahead.
I think high value guy. This is just me, and I know they don't like to bring morals into it, right? I certainly don't. Like, let's just say this: you're a rich guy. You're rich. Doesn't mean you're high value. Values. The word value comes from the sense of morality. What are your values, or what do
not
people value?
Though, brother.
You? I know. That's why I said not. That's why I also said what do people value of you? You know, that's the other thing. So you can value somebody of their intellect. You could value someone of their fame or their fortune or their presence. That's all value. I think, and this is where I think Rollo was right, where high value is subjective.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to jump off into.
I think high value.
Myron tries to go with that.
I think they're better off saying we are rich guys, right?
Yeah, and brother Mike said that's your opinion, bro. But hey, brother Mike, he started out with that. Brother Glenn started out with this is my opinion. So and not because I'm not one of those guys. I look when my thing is, you want to know if you're high value or not. Go into the bank, how they treat you. That's going to tell you if you're high value for the.
How do people treat you?
Well, but there's two different things though. Like in the sense that you can be, like you said, more like morality and like financial value. I look at in society where I look at it as two different things, right?
Well,
let's just keep it 100.
It has to be subjective because you could be a billionaire, right? Let's say you have $1 billion, but you're stranded on an island, and I got a boat. Who's the high value guy there? You or me?
You are 100%. And then guess what?
Exactly.
Once we get back to the world, what happens then? So
you may not get back to the world because I have the boat.
But you don't get your money.
That's why I assert that Rollo is correct about that. Because
that's what
high value is entirely contextual based on the market, right? It's based on like what the market wants and whether or not you've got more of what the market wants than what other people have. And so in terms of like measuring all those individual metrics, all those different skill levels, for all intents and purposes, they can validly claim they're higher value at the bare minimum.
Exactly.
Right?
Higher value than the average guy. I'm good with that.
And they lead the example. Once again, what do they call? They don't call themselves the Alpha Male Podcast. They call themselves the #1 male improvement podcast, teaching guys how to be leaders of themselves so that way they can lead women.
Then that's where I would say Base has a leg to stand on to push back. Helping guys to become leaders. Well, then in this aspect of the whole thing with Daisy, how is that leading? How is that being a good leader? Like that.
Let me show you how I fuck this up. That is like
that would be
great.
That's
what I was going to say.
That would be great if that was the way that they presented it.
They did.
That would be great.
Just went down.
No.
They did present it that way.
That's what they did. Have you seen the episode where Byron confronted Fresh? Or talk about how he confronted Fresh?
I'm saying at first. If he came at it at first, that first episode, he's like, hey guys, you know what? Let me tell you how I fucked this up.
But he didn't know yet. And that's the best brother Vikings point. He didn't know yet at that point. They didn't, because he fell for her game.
We were still waiting for the dust to settle, like you said before. That he didn't even know where the dust was settling at that point. Like I said, a lot of this stuff that I even know has kind of come out after a lot of the dust is settled. And that's why I'm saying that why I'm kind of trying to not reframe, but refocus people like, yo, you can't sit there and say because Fresh made this fuck up that disproves the truth, right? Because red pill is nothing but a metaphor for uncomfortable truth, right? Blue pill is a metaphor for comforting lies.
Here's the thing. When you get a series of fuck ups, then you have to question the truth that they're telling you.
But let me jump in here right there.
So now I got it. No, this might be too soon, but I got to make a slight pushback and say there's an old maxim for this. Do you throw the baby out with the bathwater?
If the baby's ugly, yeah. No,
absolutely.
Well, and see, some people might say that was a joke baby taste too.
Is it mine?
We won't know because you threw the baby out.
The reason why that maxim exists is because it's the same thing that Myron always talks about. It's not about what we disagree on; it's about what we agree on. And now Myron strongly disagrees with Fresh publicly on that.
But then you get to a point where you just have to verify. See, I'm always verify, But then once they've given you a series of events where you're like, I can't trust you, now I'm just left to verify.
So let me jump in real quick. First of all, Brother Pitney is in the building. What's good? Keeper of the wisdom and keeper of the knowledge, Brother Pitney, man. Good to see you. So here's the thing, bro. This fresh and fit stuff, the red pill stuff and blue pill, whatever, it all, even our politics, it boils down to who you like, who you don't like, whose team you on. Because what you were saying about them messing up, fucking up, right?
No, I said if there is a series of that, there comes to a point where you have to
a series verify. Of that. Okay, so hear me out. Now, just full disclosure, I'm not a Trump guy, right? Myron is, but I'm not. You can say this about any president. If we are, because what you're saying is, I'm with that. So let's look at everybody. Yes. Let's look at the preachers. Let's look at our family. Let's look at the president. Look at the guy who's trying to get back into the White House. Right. But in that case, then we can all agree because my thing is, again, take the good take the good and the bad. You know what I mean? It's like, take the correction, take the good, leave the bad. So to sit here like Myron and Fresh, and you're not saying this, but there's people out there like Myron and Fresh is the bane of all existence. We need to do away with them. Like, bro, y'all had a guy in the White House who is the reason the economy is crashing right now. You're trying to put him back in the White House. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, Trump started this. I'm talking about both of them. They both did the same thing. Why would we want either one of those guys to go back into the White House? That's my whole point right there. They both fucked up over and over and over and over and over again.
President, but nobody wanted to vote for me.
Shit, bro, man, get on the ballot out here. I'm about ready to vote for any damn body except for
I said it's repeal the 19th,
but that's a whole other conversation.
I lost all my votes. I said repeal the 19th.
But you see my point though. You see my point is like if people thought that way, I agree with you. If people thought that way, maybe our problems wouldn't be as so ingrained because Trump shouldn't be there, Biden shouldn't be there.
What I'm getting at is at the root of this is that we trust but verify until we no longer have until the person gives us no reason to trust. Okay, then we just verify. And fellas, I want to give you guys your final thoughts, and then I'm gonna jump over to Based. And I encourage you guys to jump over to Based with us. Viking, come over there. We can continue this conversation because Based wants to talk to you. And everybody in the chat, feel free. We're gonna go over to Based Oracle. He's on right now. So I want to give. We'll give Brother Lawrence the floor. Brother Glenn, you get your final thoughts, and then we'll rotate Brother Viking over there. My final thoughts. See you guys over at Base. I'm out.
Man, that motherfucker keeps it quick and short and everything. Appreciate you, brother. And time for your final thoughts there, Brother Viking.
Final thoughts. I actually didn't come up here to try to be a fresh and fit apologist. I came up here because I just wanted to shoot the shit with Uncle Saint and talk about some other shit. But everybody wants to know about fresh and fit, and so keep in mind, I'm not the authority on fresh and fit per se. I'm somebody who's been behind the scenes like yourself. I've seen some shit. I know more than most people. I've leveled up because of these guys. My family loves me now, which they more or less hated me before, not to be too hyperbolic about it. But thanks to Myron's leadership and his team and me even being part of that team, I've been able to level up in life. I've been able to do things that I never would imagine before, get the physique that I thought that I could never get, that I gave up on years ago because I thought that I couldn't lose the weight. I didn't understand metabolic adaptation and shit like that. Some very basic stuff now that I know, right? But I didn't know what I didn't know. That's the Dunning-Kruger effect. So, like I said, I didn't intend on being a fresh and fit apologist. These are all just my opinions based on the information that I have available for me. So that's more or less a disclaimer for anything I said, because I know people like to take shit and use it against Fresh and Fit all the time. Like, oh, the Fresh and Fit internet guy talk shit about Fresh, talk shit about Myron, that's like the kind of shit that I can expect from, Reddit guys, right? We deal with this all the time. Like I said, this ain't my first rodeo. I've been doing this with them for years now. So thank you for listening to my opinions about this. And I hope it gives you some more context and food for thought. Because once again, we never tell people we got all the answers, right? Lead yourself, trust but verify. And if the shit works for you, use it. If the stuff doesn't work for you, discard it. Like you said, DL, it's all about taking the good and discarding the bad and moving forward. And if you can't do that yourself, then you're not really leading yourself. You're relying on somebody else to tell you what to do, and there is no copy and paste in real life. Reality doesn't work that way.
Don DeMarco, Marco, because I hit the wrong button. Hey, look, y'all. And I ain't gonna lie, I want to. You know what we're gonna start doing, man? On Mondays, we're just gonna chop it up Mondays, man. We're just gonna do chop it up Mondays. Today, Based Oracle and his people came over, so we had to talk about Fresh and Fit. Next Monday, man, we're gonna talk about whatever. I wanted to talk about Hollywood, bro. I wanted to talk about stardom and what people are willing to give up for that and sacrificing yourselves for what. But who knows what we're gonna talk about next Monday, man? Somebody might want to come up here and talk about Uno. I don't know. So Brother Viking, man, I appreciate you coming through. And like I said, every Monday we're gonna do this. Tomorrow, guys, I'm not sure what we're gonna talk about. Maybe we'll talk about what's going on with law enforcement. I think the streets are I know the streets are getting crazy right now, and people are gunning at the police, and this is not a good thing. Training. It's all about training. Maybe we'll talk about law enforcement tomorrow, or maybe we'll talk about some red pill stuff. Maybe we'll roll right into some dating stuff. I don't know. But I'm about to go over it and holler at Based Oracle. You gonna come over and join us, Viking?
I'm thinking about it. I gotta go check on my son. He just got some stuff done at the dentist today and whatnot, so I gotta go check on him, make sure he's not in pain and whatnot. But I might pull up. Like I said, I really don't want to sit here and go back and forth about Fresh and Fit. I want to talk about like some regular shit, to be honest. So, like I said, if people want to ask me questions, I'm not opposed to answering more questions, but I'm not really gonna sit here and try to go back and forth because, like I said, as an example of what Fresh and Fit can do for guys if they pay attention, right? Like, I can't listen to that and take it seriously because, like I said, if I listen to guys like him saying, oh, these guys got nothing to offer, I'd still be a fucking loser.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some good in it, man. Or is there some bad? And again, I wanted everybody to see that we can have our own opinions. I really think that skit that they did, I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you, brother. I was like, oh, that's bad. But you're like, no, that's funny. And there's a lot, but here's the thing. It doesn't mean that we're not going to talk anymore. It doesn't mean he's like, oh, fuck you, man. Oh, fuck you, man. It's not like Fresh and Myron going to call me like, fuck you. We're men. We're not part of an echo chamber. We're men, and we have our own stance on stuff. And so long as we can have those conversations, and the way I see it, it is what it is. So I'm going to leave it there. But Brother Viking, man, I always appreciate you, man, coming through. Everybody in the chat, I appreciate y'all so much.
For having me.
Yeah, man, you always got a home here, bro. Anytime you want to come through, let me know. I'll fire this shit up. And and that's it. We got to go, man. That's Brother Viking over there. I'm DL Saint right here. This is the I Really Want to Know podcast. We're going to holler at y'all later, man. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time. See you then. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.